One of the benefits we have is...
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Zenimax finally showcased the new mini trial Cloudrest that we are getting with the Summerset chapter. I will just let the video roll till the end, and then afterwards I will just give a few comments about the trial and just my thoughts in general.
One of the benefits we have is we can take the lore that was established in some of the older games and build on that. So what we did is we developed what we call the Welkanar, which are these 4 Altmer elves, which are like the Air Force. I'm only going to say Air Force. I'm not going to say the other
Jess
part.
is looking at me because I'm giving you the side eye.
Yeah. I'm only going to say Air Force. So they're like the Air Force of Summerset. They patrol and protect Summerset. They're Griffin riders. So if you see this picture right here, that's Alorime with her Griffin.
Yeah.
That's not her final armor. Her final armor is actually in game now, but this was taken for a little bit before it. But she looks suitably awesome. And that's her actual Griffin. Each of them had a named Griffin, and they're named Welkanar. So what happened is they captured a sea slode named Zamaja. But Zamaja had an amulet which augmented her magical powers, and she ripped the shadows, because she uses shadow magic, she ripped the shadows of the Welkanar out of their bodies and now uses them to protect Cloudrest. So what happens here is, a lot like Asylum Sanctorium, you come in here and you can decide to fight just Zamaja, in which case all 3 Welkanar will add in, or you can defeat the other Welkanar one by one and then fight Zamaja by herself. Now,
that's easy mode.
Yeah, the easy mode, right. This is probably the hardest trial content we've done. That single fight is really, really, really tough.
Yep.
You can see as you're approaching Zamaja's area here, Alorime is kind of spouting out knowledge on how to beat her, and then she flies up. So, like I said earlier, we wanted to really, really focus on mechanics. So each one of these has like a shadow realm that players can go into, and then somebody people in the not the shadow realm will do stuff that affects what's happening in the shadow realm. So it really pays for you to coordinate between your groups and who goes into the shadow realm and who doesn't go into the shadow realm.
That's a huge part of this.
It's a huge part of this is coordination, and then you have to adapt. So some people that go into shadow realm, there's Zamaja right there.
You'll get a good view of her.
You're going to get a good view of her in a minute.
So what you're saying is our lunch pug trial group is not going to have a good time in here?
Yeah,
well,
so our Wednesday, I will lead and hopefully do it. So another thing we wanted to focus on is we also heard, specifically with the Craglorn trials, but as players got more experience, they handled trials with less tanks or something like that. But very much so in this trial, you're going to need 2 tanks. And we kind of build it towards that. You can see it right here. This is one of the Welkanar fight. You're going to have to fight the Griffin as well as the Welkanar. You're going to have to keep them separate. This is their shadows. This is the shadow of the Welkanar right here. So this is the shadows that have been ripped out of their bodies. And you can see that their real forms are suspended above Zamaja's area. Now, in order to get the good ending, you have to do this on the hardest difficulty. Because if you kill the Welkanar, they die in real life.
Oh.
So you then, once you fight Zamaja, Alorime is there and she's by herself. But if you do it hard mode, then the Welkanar live and you get the good ending. But if not, get good. So
get good.
So
it's right in front of you, Mike.
It's
literally
easy,
right in front of you.
So right here is Zamaja and a Welkanar and her Griffin behind her. Some of what we wanted to do with itemization, we also saw from Asylum Sanctorium, people really responded well to the normal weapons, and then they had perfected weapons. So this trial actually has a full item sets, has 8 item sets total, 4 regular and then 4 perfected item sets. So if you do it on the hardest difficulties, you can get the 4 perfected sets. And then the skins, which you didn't really get a good shot of, but if you take a look at the skins that each of the Welkanar have, it's a unique shadow skin. It's really, really prominent. A lot like, part of what we wanted to do is we heard the response that when you defeat Rakat and you get the Rakat skin, people, Rakat, people really, really like that. So this skin it has glowing purple eyes, and it's a shadowy skin, and it looks pretty awesome. So that's, again, you have to do it on hard mode though. So we hope that this one has, we expect this one to have quite a long life for people to be able to do hard mode.
So the other thing too that I think we should stress is one of the lessons learned, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention to you. In Asylum was the feedback we got was we want all of the fights to be interesting.
Yes.
Not just the boss fight.
Yes. Each of the Welkenar fights are no slouches as far as difficulty is concerned. It's not like going and fighting Lothus and Felms where those seem fairly easy. The Welkenar fights could be somewhat easier, but they're teaching you mechanics that you're going to want to know in the slowed fight, and you're still dealing with, so each of the Griffins has a unique ability that it brings to the table. So when you leave those Griffins up and then you fight Zamaja, those Griffin abilities then persist through the entirety of Zamaja's
so
fight.
Like so
you have to learn how to deal with that kind of stuff.
So hint, hint, learn.
Hint, hint, get good.
Yeah.
They already gave us quite a lot of information about the new trial. I personally do like the style of the new trial. The Griffins look freaking awesome. I'm already excited to see them in action. Now, what do we know so far? Basically, this is a mini trial. Like in Clockwork City, a mini trial is more focused on boss fights only, so you will not necessarily see a lot of trash fights. The mini trial itself will again have normal and veteran mode, and you can decide to fight each boss alone, or you can fight the main boss with the mini bosses together. That's called hard mode, and we all know how hard mode turned out in Asylum Sanctorium. Not a lot of people liked it simply because too many mechanics were stacked on top of each other. Now, I do think ZeniMax learned a little bit from Asylum, so this here will be a little different, like they already said in the video here. So I'm really looking forward to it. As you can see in the footage here, the scenery looks quite awesome, so I'm really looking forward to actually get there and just explore it a little bit and fight the bosses. This is on the left side of the map, and it is one of the first mini bosses. In the mini trials you basically can directly walk up to the bosses. You don't need to fight trash to get to the first boss or second boss. What's quite interesting about this mini boss here is that you actually have a flying boss. And I'm actually really wondering how this will turn out. Will the flying boss just be on the ground all the time? Will he fly around? If he flies around, will he be fast? Do we have to move around a lot and all that kind of stuff? This seems to be the area with the main boss. It is kind of the biggest place, obviously, because like in Asylum you also can choose to only fight the main boss alone, or you can have main boss +1, main boss +2, main boss +3. So I'm really looking forward to how that turns. What you notice here is that there is actually trash mobs. Unlike in Asylum, where you only fight bosses, so we might also be fighting trash mobs during the main boss fight of Cloud. This here is the main boss. He or she is called Zamaja. Doesn't really look like the boss is agile, but in the end we will actually see whether that dude has teleport skills or just something else to help him with movement. Because usually in the mini trials they want you to keep moving around, keep the movement up, don't stack too much and all those kind of things. For now, I just want to see the new mini trial. Like I said, I didn't really like Asylum mini trial because it was just too many bosses stacked on top of each other with just layers of AoE mechanics. I do hope they kind of learned a little bit from that with Cloudrest, and I hope they learn to split the groups up and all that kind of things, because that's always more challenging than just overlapping mechanics that are very hard to avoid, in my opinion. In Cloudrest we will also see perfected and imperfected items. Now I do hope they will be a little bit more different, because the Asylum perfected versus imperfected versions were basically 5 or like 3% of the stats apart, so basically nothing at all. So I really hope they will split this a little bit up so it's actually worth doing hard mode. Anyway, Like I said, I do like the idea of mini trials, but they need to be executed properly. It needs to be designed well for it to work good, especially the hard modes. And I do hope we will see full trials again, which are a little bit longer and with trash fights and everything like that. That's more or less it. Please let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about this? Make sure to not forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.